Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you a battle report for Age of Sigmar. So this is an escalation league that I've actually been organizing at one of the local shops, and its main goal is to try and help newer players who are getting into Age of Sigmar gradually grow their armies, learn the game, get into the groove of Age of Sigmar. And then, of course, there's plenty of people who have played Warhammer Fantasy up to 8th edition, and then maybe didn't get into Age of Sigmar like I did, making the immediate transition, but are now intrigued, interested, see the growth, have taken a look at it, have filtered through all the nonsense with all the, the man-children ragers from the early stages of Age of Sigmar, and have said, hey, this is a game I'd like to try out, and have jumped in. And maybe they have some armies that, are still on squares that they want to bring to the table, and they want to try out the game. They want to check it out. So I've decided to, start out fairly small and make it more around the size of a starter box, roughly around 600-ish points maximum for the first week. And the way we're going to do it is I'm going to have some custom scenarios that I'm running, and I think we have 8 or 10 players that are involved, and the parameters are such that you need to kind of mimic a lot of the get started boxes, because a lot of the new guys who have joined in with maybe a new box set have done so with that get started box, and it's really a good way to start initially in an escalation leagues. But some of them are not equal, some of them are not the same points. So the way we did it was we said only maximum 1 monster, you need to have at least 1 hero for your general, you need to have 1 battle line unit, and then of course the combination of points otherwise is roughly anywhere from 600 to 650. It depends, because again, not all the boxes when you point them out are going to be the same. So here's my force. I decided to go with Undeath because I'm in this this kind of hobby challenge where I'm trying to paint up this long-standing Bretonnian undead army that I have. I know this looks very Bretonnian, but it's not. These are Bretonnians who have succumbed long ago during the end times to Undeath, and are now ruled under Nagash's armies. So I have a unit of zombies, which are my converted Bretonnian men-at-arms zombies, and they are, you can see there some of them have arrows sticking out of their guts, or a spear in their neck, or an axe in their head. I have a necromancer, because why not? I mean, clearly, if they're zombies, there probably should be a necromancer. But I have a combination that I'm going to go over in a second, and you'll see. I have 5 of my converted Bretonnian knights, but these are actually converted in a special way, and I think I went over this in a previous Convert This video, but I will accentuate it in a future one. These are my Grail Knights that are actually my Blood Knights. I have a whole different conversion for Black Knights, which have more skeletal horses. These are the kind of the nightmare horses. And then I have a conversion that I've long been trying to finish up and working towards, and this is my my Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I'm going to give him wings or not. I had planned to give him some Vargeist wings, but I'm using the old Archaean mounted model as the basis, with a Bretonnian head and a Bretonnian shield. And I'm going to paint them up in Bretonnian, Mosellan colors, which is what all these guys are going to be. But there's some combinations here that are pretty cool that you'll see during this. That was the impetus behind it. And I'm just over 600 points here, but well within the defines of the limit. What we did also incorporate was the idea that if you were substantially over your opponent, like I don't know if it was 25, I think it may have been 50 points, you get one of the triumph rolls. So you get like a reroll of something throughout the game. In any case, that was the my starting army. And then what we're going to do is every like 3 weeks or so, we're going to up it. We're going to increase it to, let's say, I think the next one's going to be like 825 points, and then we're going to go to 1,000. In which case, we're going to enact the requirement for a second battle battalion. Excuse me, not battalion, battle line. So there'll be that. So what we're looking at here is a gradual increase over the course of time, maybe up to 1,500, and if it continues up to 2,000, we're going to have some rewards for painting. There are incentives. You get points each session for painting. In this case, you just have to have at least a starter army that has some paint on it. If you've already painted, fine. You get a victory. You have a victory point each game, or a point for award each game, each session. And you know, if you're completely painted, you're good. But if you have gradual painting, obviously that's going to be a fine thing as well. We're trying to encourage people to paint and give them rewards, and of course, it's not required. Other things are going to be, you know, you get a victory point for a win. It's not going to be a minor or major victory; it's just a win. There are things like that. We're going to have prizes for I think it's for best painted army, for best sportsmanship, you know, things like that. We're going to have about 4 or 5 different prizes, I think. You know, it's sponsored by the shop as well, and it's a small, you know, membership. I think it was like $10 a person. So we have about 8 or 10 people that are involved in this, and it's very flexible. We have a 3-week window for each of these tiers. And we try to get together on a specific night, but then you can go and you casually, you can play different games throughout the week, depending on what your schedule is, and so it's not rigid on one time. But you report the results to the shop owner when you've accomplished a game, and you can play as many games as you want, but with 2 different limitations. One is you can't play the same person 2 times in a row, so that way you can't just bang out all your games with one guy, and if you happen to kind of own them, then you know, you're not gonna suddenly, you know, rack up a big score. You got to kind of make it a community thing where you can play several games, more than the 3 max that you can score, but you can take the best 3 scores and then apply it. So that way you have to give some flexibility, and you know, you want to make it, you know, reasonable, because not every schedule matches. So with that in mind, you know, the first mission involved something that was relatively simple, but I wanted to get people out of their comfort zone. I wanted to get people to move to more of a where they have to be mobile and they have to try and accomplish goals with, you know, an attack and a defense. So this mission involves 2 practice, two tokens, 2 sources that you have to go and you have to accomplish. So you basically put a treasure token of some kind with no closer than 8 inches from your table edge, which is your opponent's goal, and then they put it within 8 inches of their table edge. That's your goal. So you have to basically defend your home, you know, your token that they're trying to achieve, and then you have to go and attack theirs. And that's the basic way that you're going to accomplish most of your points. The way it works is you have to get a unit within 3 inches of this objective, and then you'll score a point at the end of that turn. It doesn't matter how many guys there are, and it doesn't matter if there are enemies there. So it really puts the impetus upon the defender to try and, you know, head you off, you know, try and push you back, keep you away from that 3-inch window, as well as their, you know, split their forces and try to tackle the second one. So this is mine in my deployment zone, and my opponents placed it here. Sorry for the blurry pictures, in theirs. And the idea was, again, you don't want it on the very corners or table edges, so no closer than 8 inches, so that, you know, it's reasonably close in a small game. You know, this is a 4x4 table, to be able to get to it, but not so close that you're gonna, you know, you necessarily would get it in turn 1, but not on the table edge in the back, that it's, you know, you're not gonna be able to contest it pretty quickly, because these are small games and we want them to be quick. And the idea is, of course, if we're meeting up on a game night, that you can get a couple games in with different people. So here's the game board, and this is going to be a game against Seraphon. So I'm going to go show you my opponent's list. He's got a pretty interesting list. He's got some mobility, and, you know, look, Seraphon are really tough in Age of Sigmar. They got it all. But this is a nice showcase here with some of the terrain that I've been building. You see most of this stuff here is the 3D printed terrain that I've been putting up. There's an arch, there's this dais, this demon dais, and then this kind of war cottage that I built out. And I'm starting to just kind of give it some great coats. I'll be, you know, doing some more stuff. I want to try. Most of the terrain you see is terrain that I own, and there's a couple of Battlefield in the Box stuff that I've also put there. But I've been fielding most of the terrain, even though the shop has terrain. You know, I'm starting to bolster that with some of my old stuff. So here's our deployment. So just to get a look at my opponent's forces, he's got a unit of Saurus Knights. He's got this one guy that is the Saurus Sunblood. I'm going to get back to him. He is pretty interesting, and he is just a beast. He's pretty tough. But there's 2 units of Saurus, just basic Saurus warriors, and then he's got these 2 units of Razodons, I think it is, or they're the ones that kind of spit out flames, and they have these handlers, which is pretty cool. And this Saurus Sunblood is very interesting. I have some details on him. He has this like sun mace or a war mace that kicks out 5 attacks with a rend, and he's got his shield that he can use in his jaws that he can bash and claw with. So he gets a couple more attacks there. And the nice thing about this army is that you just forget about rend. Unless you have really good rend, you're not kicking out any kind of rending. You're not doing any kind of damage. But you're not. Excuse me. I should say rephrase that. It's not that you're doing any damage. What you're not doing is you're not going to reduce their armor saves. They actually are immune to the -1 rend. And there are some units like the Bastiladon, which I'm sure that my opponent's going to start adding in the future, that they're not affected by rend. But the fact is that you need some really good rend to kind of punch through these guys' armor. So they're kind of beastly. And some of these units obviously have multiple wounds, so it takes some time to get through them. And then they have also a good decent armor, and a lot of other different attacks that really can give you pause. This one that I find very interesting is this Sunblood has this scent of weakness. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But he's got his Razordons kind of situated up by his objective. He's got well within range to kind of either move forward or move towards the objective, defend his objective. These 2 Saurus units, and then this unit here that's going to probably move out over the flank, and and possibly go ahead and try to take my objective. So we'll see how that plays out. So here's my deployment. I put the Necromancer situated next to my objective with my 10 zombies. Look, 10 zombies is nothing to be impressed with. They're hitting on 6s. They're wounding on 6s. It's not much. The big key here is that they're cheap. I've got a battle line unit for very few points at a low point level. I do get a special save because 6 up, because I have the battle trait for Allegiance to Death. Because my Necromancer is there. If my general happens to be in range, I have the +1 to that. Within 10 inches of my general, I get a +1 to that roll. So Undeath can be pretty resilient even against mortal wounds. But I know I have at least the 6 up for these guys, but that's not going to come into play too much. There's only 10 of them. Zombies really shine when you have much more of them. So, but the idea here is if I take losses, I recover die 6. So he would basically have to wipe me out, which is possible. He can do, but there's a good chance I could recover most of them unless I roll real poorly. But there's a really good chance that they'll come back. And if he does start moving up this way, I can move these guys further out so I can keep them away from that 3-inch mark and prevent him from scoring. In any case, I have my Blood Knights here, and then my general, who's again on Abyssal Terror. He's kind of like a baby general, like the baby monster. He's not really a monster. He doesn't have the monster keyword. He can fight. He has pretty good attacks, which is it's pretty impressive. But he can do some work, but for a small game, he's effective and cost effective. I think at 220. But for larger games, you're not going to use him. You're just not going to. So what we have here is let's see. I'm looking to move forward with my Blood Knights, support them with my Vampire Lord, and then hold the home fort here with my zombies with the Necromancer. So we go to turn 1, and I get the first turn. So I use Hellish Vigor, and Hellish Vigor is really interesting. It's got this the ability to make a unit, and casting value 5. I make my roll. It doubles their movement in the movement phase. So a cavalry unit that has a 10 or 12-inch move. No, suddenly has a 20 to 24-inch move, which is incredible. And especially for a short board, you can get across the board pretty quickly. But even for a long board, it's very effective and very appropriate. This is a great ability to use for reasonably fast moving units to make them incredibly fast and very effective when it comes to scenario objectives, which are really the name of the game for Age of Sigmar. So I cast that on the Blood Knights. And then I use Van Hale's Dance because my Necromancer was easily within range, and this will allow them to pile in, be activated a second time, and pile in for a second round of attacks. Now, there's been some interpretation issues with this. There are very specific cases, I think specifically with Khorne, where things like this say instantly, immediately, you can pile in. That is not what this says. Van Hale's Dance is not, you automatically get 2 rounds of attacks instantly. Because again, that word is not there. It allows you to pick a unit that's either the skeleton, mordant, or zombie keyworded, and then it allows you to give them the ability to attack twice. Okay, and that's highly important. Now, what you can do is you can activate them once, complete their attacks, your opponent goes, and then you can activate them again. Okay, so I put that on my Blood Knights. However, I think after we did the game, we've kind of realized that Blood Knights I don't think have Mordant, Skeletal, or Undead. So that's a key factor. And I think we discovered it actually later in the game. So that will come into play. It also has an impact in terms of the killing nature of this unit. So something to keep in mind, make sure they have the keywords, because not everything in the Death Army is going to be able to be affected by this. But this was a mistake that we had discovered later on. Okay, so excuse me. I moved my 20 inches up. And obviously, I didn't need to run. I just wanted to get within range so I could get a good charge. And I'm really looking to kind of sack the quarterback, try and take out this Sunblood and maybe do a little bit of damage against these Saurus Cav, because I know he's going to move those guys to the point where he's going to try and take my objective. And then I move my general here. Now, he's not a monster. Monsters in match play do not get the benefit of terrain. Scenery to get cover bonuses, which I think is a good rule. I like that rule. But this guy is not a monster. He's a flyer, and he can move pretty quickly, and I wasn't looking to charge, so I did a run, and I just situated him. He can fly. He can move right up here, and anybody who wants to try and get up there is going to have to run up that wall because, I guess wall climbing is a thing in Age of Sigmar. It says if you can get up there, you can get up there. If you want to use logical means, if they can't fly, they can't get up there. Either way, if they fly, they can ignore the elevation of the terrain. That's the benefit of being a flyer more than anything else. But if they don't, they can still get up there, but you have to spend the movement to get up there to kind of attack me. But they can still shoot me, which there is some options. But either way, I can now dictate from this battle standpoint which way I want to attack. What do I want to go after, if I want to support the Blood Knights or not. And then, of course, try to augment them with any spells. So I charge my Blood Knights in and easily get in. I got 3 of them with around the Sunblood, thinking that hey, they're Blood Knights on a charge. They do die 3 wounds with their lances, and a couple. Maybe I'll get a couple wounds off on kill a couple of the Saurus Cav too. And hey, great. I'm sure I'm going to wipe this guy out. This Sunblood. So I kill one of the Knights, and they're fairly resilient. And again, look, even though I had a -1 rend, which is not incredible, they ignored it because of their shields. So that's that was a bust. I kind of bounced off them. I killed one guy, okay, and I did a few wounds onto the Saurus Sunblood. I think I did like 2 wounds on him, maybe 3. He's got 7, maybe even has 8. I'm not sure, but. They attack back, and between all of them, they kill off 2 of my Blood Knights. Now let's remember here, the Blood Knights, they have a good armor save. They have a 3 armor save base, a 4 a 4 armor save base, a 3 if you don't have any rend, they get a benefit of their shield, which is kind of a weird rule, but even so, that's the rule. So if you have no rend, which in some cases, there were some cases here where there was no rend, so I was able to get a 3 up, and they have 3 wounds each, which is awesome. And they get the attacks from the rider and from the Nightmare. They get 2 extra horse attacks, which I think are 4 up, no rend, one wound. But those add up. Those are nice additions. It's not, that's usually what does the work. But I didn't do a whole lot, and I tried to, I put a lot of my forces onto this Sunblood. And with his striking back, and with the, the guys who could attack, I lost 2 of my Blood Knights. Now that's not such a horrible thing, because the banner, which I think the banner is right here. The standard allows a special ability, which means that I can restore one of these models at the beginning of every one of my turns. So unless they wiped out the unit, and I'm going to make sure that banner is the last thing that goes, I get a free guy back. And I can continue to grow them back. That's a great rule. It's just like with zombies, they get die 6 back, or skeletons, they get die 6, or Grave Guard get a die 3. These only get 1, but that's pretty key. And the other thing is, if they kill anything, they heal 1 wound. So I took a few wounds here. I know I took 1 wound here, but I get this wound back right afterwards because I killed one of the Saurus Knights. So yeah, here's another example. I think I got this guy down to like 2 wounds. So I managed to do a ton of wounds. And I just wasn't able to take him off of his, wasn't able to kill him. So turn 1 goes to me, but then the bottom of the turn goes to the Seraphon, and he uses the Scent of Weakness ability. And again, this is a really key ability. He puts it on my Blood Knights. And what this means is that until your next hero phase, you pick an enemy unit, and I think it means that any attacks, it says until your next hero phase, reroll failed hit rolls for attacks made in the combat phase against that unit by any of your Saurus models. So that counts for the Knights and the Saurus Warriors, and basically everything he's got. So they can reroll hits, failed hits. That's great. So I'm going to get a lot of attacks, and I've only got 3 of these guys left. So it's going to play in a horrible way when you look at this screen. Look at the mob surrounding my remaining 3 Knights. Oh, my God. He's got all these guys just arrayed against my Blood Knights. I tried for a Alpha Strike to try and take out his main guy, and what happens? He goes and he waltzes everything over to me. This was a mistake. Now, you know, there was other things I should have done, could have done. I probably should have put a Mystic Shield on these guys to make sure they had a better armor class, which is, you know, it's. I went for the Van Hels, which again was a mistake. So I got to assume that if I instead did the Mystic Shield, it might have helped me a little bit more. But look, this I'm thinking these guys are going to get wiped out and I'm in trouble. He moves up his Razordons, I think they are. I'm just going to call them Razordons. If I'm wrong, please, bear with me. And then, he goes ahead and shoots my Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror, who's sitting on the top of this War Cottage. And I think he mostly bounces off. So we go to the combat, and again, he starts activating his units. This is why we still had me going and piling in twice and attacking twice. I managed to kill off in my first round of attacks, I put everything on this Sunblood. I just wanted to get him out of there. And I managed to get all the regular attacks from the riders, so I then put the horses onto, I think it was some of the Saurus Warriors. I lost one of my Blood Knights in the process, so he's starting to bounce a lot of these attacks off, and I think a lot of these attacks are no rend. So I'm sitting around pretty with a 3-up save, which is pretty good. I managed to kill off a couple more of his warriors, but again, he's got 20 warriors in 2 different units and 4 strong, I think, on his Saurus Knights. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So we go to turn 2 and we have to roll, and he's got his Razordons now. I guess he's looking to try and again plink down some shots off of my general. And he goes and he targets him, and I think he only got 1 through because my general is sitting also at like a base 3-up. Because I've got the shield and I'm sitting in terrain, so I didn't even need to really do a Mystic Shield. But so I'm sitting on a 2-up save, which is awesome. But 1 managed to get through because he just did a ton of attacks, and I think I managed to. I think through the first round of combat, I killed off another Saurus Knight, so he's only got 3 Saurus Knights, and I was able to kill 3 of his Saurus. I think when he tried to attack me initially, he had killed again that first. He killed one of the Blood Knights, and this was my attack back. So then we go to bottom of turn 2, and again I'm in trouble with my Blood Knights. I think I've got I have 2 left, but I gained 1 back, so now I have 3, which is good because again that's the key. If you don't wipe out the whole unit, you can start recovering them, but they're not going to survive. So I cast the Hellish Vigor again, and I'm well within range because I need to move them out of dodge. So I use my Necromancer to cast, and he's within range of 18 inches of my Vampire Lord, and he casts a Mystic Shield onto my Vampire Lord. My Vampire Lord had already cast the Hellish Vigor, so now we get to movement, and he pops down here. He only can do it in 3 inches. He pops down here to get within 3 inches, for charging purposes. Because if I was sitting up there on that perch, I'm going to have to use the full distance range for the charge from up there. I don't want to do that. So I plop down here, and now I'm within 3 inches to do a charge. I'm still on a 2-up because I'm not in terrain, but I have a Mystic Shield now. So I want to get rid of those guys. But here's the big thing. I retreated, and I had lanes to do so. They don't fly, but there was plenty of room to move through and around these units of Saurus. And I had 20 inches of movement for these guys. Plus, I did a run, because you can do a run. It's a move. It just doubles your base movement. I don't know if it doubles the charge. I mean, not charge, the run. So I don't think it doubles the die 6, but I wasn't, we didn't play it that way. We played it doubled your base movement, and if you run, you get an extra die 6. That was plenty of room for me to get all the way over here on the opposite side of this terrain. By the way, take a look at this terrain. It's just a beautiful piece of terrain, and all these pieces come off, so you can actually put guys into all these different rooms and even that shed. I just wanted to go mention that because I'm very proud of it. But if you're interested in it, by the way, printable scenery, beautiful files, incredible files. Anyway, so I moved these guys over here, and the reason why is I'm out of the range now. Granted, look, I was just being swarmed. You can see on the left side all those Saurus that were just crowding around me. That's just maniacal. So I got to get away. But if I can survive, I can get maybe another guy back, and now I have a viable unit that can probably do some damage. And he's quite far away from my objective. And here I am, right, threatening his objective with this unit. So that was a key thing. And I charged in and made it easily with my general, and I put myself on the opposite side of, because I made a good roll for my charge of these Razordons, because if his Saurus, who are reasonably close to me, want to try and get up on me and charge me, they're not going to get everybody to fit in there, depending on how many people I kill now. Depending on how much of these Razordons and Skinks I kill. So they're not going to be able to just swarm all over me. We're able to get a few guys on top of me. So maybe I'll be able to survive a little bit longer before he maybe perhaps kills me. There's a good chance I will survive. So I kill off a couple of the handlers, and we get to, and I put some wounds on the Razordon, and we go to turn 3. And of course, I win the roll off, and like I said, I grow another knight, and that's key. What I was down to 2, now I have 4. I had the bottom of turn 2 and the top of turn 3, and I got an extra knight for both of them. This was crippling. All right, so I throw up another Mystic Shield on my general. I think he put it on himself because I don't think that the Necro was in range. And then I retreat him, and I think I did a run here as well. So I'm within 6 inches of the token. But this is a mistake. I thought I would needed to be within 6 inches, and I wrote the damn scenario. I only needed to be within 3. I needed to be within 3 inches. So I wasn't able to get there. I was probably about, at best, I could have made 4 inches, maybe 5. But in this case, I thought I needed to be within 3, and I wanted to be as far away from the Saurus as possible to limit the ability for them to charge me the following turn. And either way, I made this error. I thought I would score a point here. I did not. So there was an error here, but still, I managed. I probably could have killed off the Razordons and eliminated his ability to kind of shoot at me, and they do a lot of attacks. But now, I've kind of wasted this move. But maybe I can get to that token, that objective, and maybe score a point or 2. Right now, it's basically even. And I move up my my Blood Knights to kind of finish off these Razordons, and easily charge them, and kill everything except for this one Razordon who has a wound left, which kind of sucked. I mean, they're tough, and again, they ignore rend. Or at least Rends of 1. So we go to the bottom of turn 3. I think the question was that whether I did score 1 point, because the other objective in this mission is to kill the general. If you kill the general, you get a victory point. If you kill the general with your general, you get 2. So I only got 1 victory point from this. But still, I'm up by 1. It's not even yet. But I don't have the 2 points I thought I was going to score, because every turn that you have a unit sitting on your opponent's objective, you get a victory point. So sorry for the blurry picture. He moves up his remaining Saurus Knights to try and take on my objective, and he's probably going to. These 3 Saurus Knights probably could wipe out the zombies in 1 turn and probably kill off the Necromancer in the following turn. I doubt he could do both, but he's going to be able to get close enough where he can get victory points if I don't move out there and kind of address that. So he failed his charge, but he made his charge with the Saurus Warriors to get in on my Blood Knight. And he did not, surprisingly, charge the Saurus to go after my Vampire Lord of Abyssal Terror. I'm not sure if he actually tried it and failed it, but I think I was wondering why he didn't charge, and maybe that's what the situation was. Either way, it didn't happen, so he didn't lock up my general. So it could have been just it was a failed charge. So the Saurus pile in. I think they mostly bounce off these guys. They might have caused a wound or 2. I fight back, and I kill 3 of his Saurus, but I'm not able to kill this Razordon. Now, there's no points being scored for what you kill, but still, that Razordon can shoot, and then if there's enough damage being done, these Blood Knights will be ineffective. Now, we're getting deeper in the game, so it's about points. It's not about what you survive on the board, but you want to have something combat effective. But right now, I got 4 guys there, and if I can survive with this unit, I'm going to have 5. So he needs to kill stuff. So we get to turn 4, and I get to turn. So my Necromancer, I believe, shoots out an Arcane Bolt and only does 1 wound. I was hoping maybe I could try kill off one of these Razordons, so when they get in, I can limit their ability to kind of kill off my zombies. And of course, I'm going to try and move them up and kind of block them. He goes and piles in with his remaining Saurus. I don't think he was able to do any wounds again. I think it was my armor saves were just effective enough to bounce off. And then I think he realized that that with my growing of the Blood Knights, he doesn't have enough forces to kind of take them out. And I'm just going to keep scoring with my Vampire Lord, because now my Vampire Lord is going to be able to get to the objective. And if he takes these Saurus here and kind of redirects them to my Blood Knights to try and wipe them off the board, he gives up the points. And if he tries to stop my Vampire Lord, he probably doesn't have enough with just these 6 Saurus to try and knock him out, and I'm just going to score those points. So I think it's when he decided to concede. And I think the end of the game, I mean, we didn't do the 5th turn, but at this point I was going to start pulling away. And my goal here was to do with the following. I was going to move up, I was going to run these, not run them, but I was going to move up 4 inches these zombies, and then attempt to charge, and then move my Necromancer behind them, so he was protected by being in proximity to the zombies as long as they don't all get wiped out, and try to engage these guys and stop them from moving. So they can't. If I just move up, they're gonna have to move around. But even if I do move up and fail to charge, they're gonna have a longer distance they have to get around here or here to get within 3 inches of this objective, and that works heavily in my favor. But if I can engage them, their best bet is to try and do a retreat. Which is not a guarantee that we'll get within 6 inches, because I might have a collage of guys here still. I could snake this unit of zombies out, and he might not be able to do that. He would probably have to go and do a move out stay within 3 inches, and then charge in, which is possible, and maybe he'll get a point. But already I'm in the lead, and this is his best bet at scoring even a point. And he doesn't have enough here that's going to take out my Vampire Lord, who's hiding right here behind this the terrain piece. You can just barely see him, who's still sitting on 7 wounds. So he conceded, and I got the victory. So there's several other missions coming up that I'll be doing battle reports for. I'm going to do this in succession as we go through and show you, obviously, the different armies. We have there's a Cord Bloodbound army, ogres that my son is running. There's another Seraphon army that the store owner is running. I think we have a Skaven army. There's 2 Stormcast armies. So there's a good array of different type of units that are in this Escalation League, but I wanted to try to get something that was fairly simple in terms of scenario, so that people could understand objective is the key. Yes, you're fighting. Yes, you want to try and take out units, but you have to have an array of different types of units: mobile, tanky, shooty, casting, all these different things. And if you're new to the game, which some of these people are, again, a couple of these guys are really good, either 40K or fantasy players, really know those game systems, or even come from other game systems. So they're just starting to learn these rules and the synergies, but they're good players, and they're picking it up fast. So this is just an way to ease them into it, so they can figure things out without going into full game as they're building up their armies and painting them up and getting them into hopefully a 2K format. So they can play standard tournament level games. And of course, for open play, they can do whatever they want, which I'm sure we're going to do as well. We're actually going to do a narrative / open play type event after we do this. And of course, one of the other things I'm looking to do is to organize a local tournament at this shop and a couple other locations. So keep an eye out for more stuff that I'm going to be doing with this. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to leave them. Keep an eye out also for some other future conversion and unlocking episodes. And something to keep in mind, I just started up my Patreon account again. I know I had a couple of people that were donating to it before. If you're interested in doing it again, go check it out. I had canceled it because I was kind of away for a good while on vacation and wasn't putting out a lot of content. But I've started up again, and I'm looking to to try to if you're looking to support the channel, I'm trying to get out to some different shows and Adepticon, Holy Wars, among others. So if you want to contribute and help to improve the channel, maybe I'm looking to get a better webcam, so stuff like that. Just $1 a month. There's no obligation. There'll never be a second level tier. Think about it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. No, I won't. It's not a concern. But what I'm going to do with that, you can see I have these 3D printed pieces here. Those who are going to be supporting, I'm going to have raffles after a period of time. not raffles, but random draws. I'm going to give away a piece of terrain, a piece of three built terrain, two Patreon donators. So if you're interested in getting involved in that and just throwing your hat in the ring, even $1 a month would be enough to kind of get you going once I start doing it. I'm going to try and do it once every few months, and get some pieces out to anybody who's willing to kind of support me with the channel. And I know I got a couple people that were looking to do it at a fairly generous level prior. So hopefully you guys will come back and get involved in that. And again, if you have any questions or things that you want to see on the channel, please feel free to post it to me. And I'm going to do a Q&A show. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them, and I'll try to collect all of them together and just go over some of the stuff that you guys are asking about. Have a great day, everybody.